Every spring here in the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, those taking the second of our weather communications classes, known as Meteo 482, spend a few weeks learning the art of feature making. We start by teaching how you do news writing, which is about writing and then editing and writing again and revising. And then we have Dr. Melissa Gervais come in to teach a little bit about climate communication. We then take a field trip to Penn State's Media Commons, where students learn the art of editing. And then they get to pick a topic. They go to Climate Central and pick which topic they'd like to report on. And then they're off to the races with their writing, revising, and then they begin editing. And that whole process culminates with features that we call packages. And tonight I'm thrilled to show you the first set of these that are going to air this summer here on Weather World. You're going to hear topics on hurricane intensification, heavy rainfall rates, as well as cherry blossoms. Here's the features from this spring's 482 class.
What began as a cluster of thunderstorms suddenly became a monster. In just hours, seas can give way to violent winds and towering waves, creating hurricanes. This dangerous phenomenon is known as rapid intensification. According to Climate Central, nearly 80% of major hurricanes, defined as storms with sustained wind of 96 knots or 111 miles per hour or greater, undergo rapid intensification. This occurs when wind speeds surge by at least 30 knots or about 35 miles per hour in just 24 hours. But there's an even more dramatic version, extreme rapid intensification. This is when winds increase by more than 50 knots or about 58 miles per hour within a single day. Since 1980, 177 landfalling Atlantic tropical cyclones have rapidly intensified, and nearly a quarter of them have experienced extreme rapid intensification. Warming oceans, a consequence of climate change, are fueling this trend. Hurricanes draw their strength from heat and moisture at the ocean surface. As sea surface temperatures rise, it provides more energy for hurricanes to strengthen quickly. The implications are drastic. Rapidly intensifying storms are harder to predict, leaving communities with less time to prepare. According to Climate Central, of the 62 tropical cyclones causing at least $1 billion in U.S. damages since 1980, 69% of those hurricanes underwent rapid intensification. Enhanced forecasting and swift emergency responses are crucial. Understanding the link between climate change and hurricane behavior is vital to vulnerable regions around the world. As our planet warms, what was once a rare hurricane event is becoming a troubling new norm. Rapid intensification now stands as a frequent and foreseeable challenge, one that forecasters and coastal communities alike must adapt to. For Weather World, I'm Ashton.
Climate change holds a dark cloud over Earth's future, and that cloud is now capable of producing more rainfall. Increases in precipitation rates could threaten millions of people as the climate continues to warm. That's because studies show an increase of 1 degree Fahrenheit means the atmosphere is capable of holding around 4% more water vapor. Across the board, precipitation rates have increased, most notably in downpour frequency and intensity. According to Climate Central, since the 1950s, downpours, which account for the heaviest 1% of rainfall events, have had increased precipitation rates across the country, with the highest impacts occurring east of the Rockies. In some areas, the precipitation rate increased by over 50%. While downpours are the most impacted by climate change, all rainfall rates have gone up throughout the nation. Nearly 150 locations across the United States were analyzed by Climate Central, and the results showed that roughly 90% of locations had increased precipitation rates, with around 2/3 showing increased rates of more than 10%. This includes major cities like Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and Pittsburgh. Higher precipitation rates increase the risk of flash flooding, which can cause significant damage and disruption to livelihoods. Climate Central estimates that around $32 billion is lost annually due to flood damage nationwide, with Pennsylvania's annual flood damages estimated at around $2.8 billion. As the climate continues to change, this trend will continue. The vast majority of the United States will see further increases in precipitation rates during downpours. Climate Central highlights the Tennessee Valley and New England as the most impacted areas given the current trends. It's essential to have a plan in place for dodging downpours and floodwaters, as our changing climate makes these events more common. For Weather World, I'm student meteorologist Michael Stoudt.
Every year, Washington, D.C.'s cherry blossoms draw in people from all over the world. Their blooms a sign of the genesis of spring. Warmth is what prompts the trees to flower, but in a changing climate, they've been blossoming before the calendar flips to spring, and that's not necessarily a good thing. The early blossoming is something of a trend in recent years. According to Climate Central, the average peak cherry blossoms date in D.C. was April 6th from 1931 through 1960, but this has changed. From 1981 through 2010, the average peak cherry blossom date has shifted to April 1st. An early bloom may seem like a treat during the Northeast's bleak winter season, but it is anything but. An earlier bloom leaves these trees vulnerable to frost. In 2017, 70% of the trees along the tidal basin were damaged by winter chills after a sudden warm snap in February forced an early bloom. According to the National Park Service, Washington, D.C. is warming at a rate of 3.3 degrees Fahrenheit per century, which is calculated to push cherry blossom bloom time all the way up to the first week of March by 2070. But with freezes still possible in March, even after a warm spell, there's a growing risk that frost could damage the blossoms before they reach their peak. A study at Utah State found that a tree that experiences a hard enough frost, especially one that follows a warm spell, can not only damage existing blossoms, but also the tissue that forms buds for the next year. So if cherry blossoms are blooming before spring officially begins, it's not just a colorful sight, it's also a sign of our changing climate. For Weather World, I'm Rebecca Newell.